I'm really pleased to be here with you today. Simon Rex, who's the star of a wonderful new film called Red Rockets, directed by Sean Baker, who's extraordinarily talented.
He really is.
As you are as well.
You.
It's really wonderful to have you here. Mr Feelgood, I'll give you a quick brief. It was born out of a desire to celebrate what's positive, as a desire to celebrate culture, union, friendship, candid, honest conversation. I had traveled for 35 years and was unable to travel anymore because of the pandemic. And I just wanted to talk to people, and the easiest thing to say is I want it to be, Mr. Feelgood, to have the intimacy and the honesty of a fireside chat. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I love it, and especially after I've been opposite of you. I've been traveling nonstop, doing interview after interview, and after a while it starts to feel very robotic, and the questions are all not so personal and feel good. So this is going to be very refreshing for me. And then we'll get you traveling again soon. I can tell you're itching.
Oh, thank you.
I can tell you're itching to get on the road.
Thank you for that. I am, yeah. I'm also itching to get to the desert and be where you are as well. That sounds incredible, man.
Anytime.
So I wanted to ask you firstly, can you just give us a little brief story of how you got the role?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I was out in Joshua Tree. Moved out there right before the pandemic hit, so it was like, February of 2020, and I was out there for a few months, just like we all were collectively going through this strange time, and there was no work on the horizon, and I was sort of surrendered to that and was okay with it, and of course, that's when you get the phone call, and I get a call out of the blue from a mutual friend of Sean's that knows me as well, and said, hey, can I give you, Sean Baker, your number? Absolutely. He calls me up, he sends me basically one little paragraph of like my opening scene and says, can you just do a cold read on your phone and send this to me?
Wow.
Sent it into him, and he loved it. And he said, I need you to be in Texas immediately. I can't fly you here because I'd have to quarantine you for a week. Obviously this was during the pandemic. So I had to drive to Texas. So they rented me a car. I drove 3 days and we just started shooting, and it happened so fast. That it was just one of those, usually that's not how you book a job in Hollywood. Right. You got to go through an agent, a manager, a lawyer, dealing. He just went right to me, and Amazing. I said yes.
Amazing.
And it was really a different experience. And then working obviously with him was magical. He's just brilliant.
So I have to ask you, how many takes did you do before you sent him?
That's a good question. I probably did, I'd say 5 to 7 takes before I was happy with one that I sent to him. And I think I sent him a couple, like I just did my 2 select favorite ones. And it's just one of those things where sometimes I think in life, the less you overthink things and just go with the flow, magic can happen. And this is one of those things where I didn't have time to, sometimes you'll go in for an audition and you'll work on it for 7 days and memorize the shit out of it and go in and it loses the thing.
Yeah.
It was just fresh.
Yeah.
And the whole movie was like that. We shot the whole movie just not rehearsing.
Awesome.
It was,
awesome. Breath of fresh air, real, organic, beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, right, let's get to Mr. Feelgood. Who the F are you? 20 questions, we're gonna go through them. Take as long as or little as you like. We'll see how we go. First one is, Simon Rex, who are you?
I am a human man from California, only child. I'm a silly goose. I don't take myself too seriously, but I take my work very seriously. But I think that's the secret to life, is being able to laugh at yourself. So that's what I think is my superpower, is that you got to be able to laugh at everything, right? People, so especially in my business, show business, I'm so serious, even the comedians. So I'm a free-spirited silly goose who likes nature.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Is that short or long? Is that a good answer?
That's perfect, man.
Okay.
That's perfect. It's all perfect.
Okay.
How are you feeling right now?
At this exact second?
Yeah.
I have photo fatigue. We just did a great shoot together.
Yeah.
Amazing photographer. I'm excited to see these pictures. And so I got photo fatigue, which is a weird thing because you would think it's easy to just stand there. But I feel that post-coffee, post-photo shoot, pre-lunch dip in energy. So if I don't seem as majestic as I normally do, it's because I'm going through that little moment. And I'm hungry.
Okay.
So we got food coming.
Okay.
So a few things. So I'm happy, and I'm also a little I slept really good. I slept like 8 hours. For me, that's a lot. So I'm rested.
I'm jealous.
I'm
That's
frisky.
amazing.
I'm feeling a little adventurous. I might skydive after this.
All right, awesome. Sounds brilliant. I want to come skydiving with you. I did that on my 30th birthday, which is only a week ago. I'm joking. I did it on my 30th birthday.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah, you look 29.
Thank you. Where did you grow up and what was it like?
Grew up in San Francisco with hippie parents. It was very open-minded. This is obviously a long time ago. This is the 70s and 80s in Northern California, which is the hippie epicenter of the world.
Yeah,
so
sure.
my parents were hippies. So I grew up around everything as far as, gay, black, white, Asian. I mean, it's like New York. It's the melting pot.
Right.
And so I grew up around so much diversity. I think it's such a good place to be from. And I'm like you. I'm a traveler. I love to travel. That's when I feel the most alive. And I don't think I want to live in San Francisco anymore because my city has changed so much. But what a good place to be from. So that's my background.
Did you say you're an only child?
I'm an only child.
You're only child. And did your parents, did you find yourself communicating with a lot of adults growing up or?
I mean, yeah, I was left to my own devices to entertain myself. So I think growing up, like TV and music were my best friends, and that's why I think I gravitated towards both of those things for like my work. I remember coming home from school, and my best friend was like Three's Company and reruns of like watching TV and sitcoms. And I remember when the VCR came out. I remember when it was invented, and I'd go over to my friend's house and bring VHS cassettes and record movies off Showtime and HBO. And eventually I got a VCR, and I just grew up watching a lot of comedies, a lot of Mel Brooks, a lot of David Zucker, Airplane, Naked Gun, really broad comedies. And I just remember that being sort of my thing. So only child, you sort of have to, that's your survival instinct, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about television though. I mean, grew up in dark Yorkshire in England, Northern England, and I fell in love with sort of American West Coast TV shows.
Which one?
Hill Street Blues, Charlie's Angels. I love Cheers, which is Boston.
Cheers was big.
And it was all those ones, streets of San Francisco.
Of course.
And it just gave me an idea. And movies, coming to the West Coast and seeing America, and it was just quite extraordinary. So TV was a big influence in my life, and it gave me the window onto the world that I wanted to explore as I got older.
Yeah. And now you're here in California?
And I'm here in California, and I've had a love affair with this country for, it's 30 years now between here and New York. I want to ask you, what excites you?
Travel really excites me. I actually did this personality test recently, and who knows if it's really accurate, but it made a lot of sense. It's actually, I can't remember the name. It's like the Briggs-Meyer test or something like that, or so one of those. So it's similar to astrology, but a little more science-based and less about the stars. Not saying either one's more accurate. Maybe they're both accurate. Maybe neither of them are. I don't know. But this said that I am addicted to novelty. And I thought, this is so accurate. I love new. And whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but I'm just being honest with myself. I love new and variety. Hence me being 47 years old and never been married and had kids. Which that's a whole nother conversation.
Sure.
Now,
there's so much we can talk about. There's so much we can talk about. Go on.
Well, yeah, so the adventure of the open road and mystery of not knowing what's going to happen is when I just feel the most alive. And when I get stuck in one place too long and in a routine and around the same people and things, I get antsy and I need to keep it moving. And that's just the way I am.
So you're happy and you're delighted when you're in your own company. You're comfortable in your own company, obviously. And you love adventure, so you can jump in your motor and you just take off and see what's there with no specific destination or idea in mind. Beautiful.
And no plans. I love it drives everyone else crazy, but I love no plans.
I get that though. Yeah.
And then you're pleasantly surprised all the times because when you have a sort of when you have expectations or I don't know if I like being surprised.
Yeah, man.
And serendipitous moments happen when you just put yourself out there.
Amazing. It's a freedom. It's a sense of
freedom.
That's it.
It's freedom.
So then what scares you?
The irony is being alone forever is scary as shit. As you start to get older, you realize wait, am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? I want to have a family. I want to have, you know, my tribe. And I kind of just float around. I'm like, I'm what's called a sigma male, I think, not an alpha, not a beta. I'm a sigma. I can kind of just, I'm a chameleon.
Yeah.
I'll just adapt wherever I go. I'll go to the roughest neighborhood in Oakland and hang with the homies and somehow be with, and then I'll go to a Beverly Hills party and hang with the richest affluent people. And then I'll go to Europe and I just love putting myself out of my comfort zone and adapting. But then, as much as I love that, it also scares the shit out of me to, it's like, am I going to be like this forever? Do people change? That's a big one for me. I wonder if people really can change. So I think what scares me is how okay I am with being alone and just putting myself out there all the time, because eventually you're going to have some roots and settle down. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe not.
Or
I don't
maybe
know.
not.
Maybe
you know,
not.
maybe you're the chameleon that just goes and floats and touches base with all these different sort of tribes around, and that keeps you. But you know, I think perhaps maybe there might be something deep inside you that longs for that actual connection with something that's just for you.
Well, we're both cancers, right? Did we find that out earlier?
Yeah. So
and again, who
there's
knows
a roots.
I like to have a home.
Yeah.
But I like to have, maybe it's greedy. I like to have it all. And I feel like maybe is that okay? I think.
Of course it's okay. You can
think
have
it's
whatever you
okay.
want. Yeah. Yeah, you make the rules. Make the
You know what I
rules
mean?
in your own life.
I just don't want to do what everyone else tells. When someone else tells me what I have to
You
do,
go
I
the
run
other
the other way.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
don't tell me what to do.
Okay. I won't tell you what to do.
Okay.
I won't tell you what to do. What's your proudest achievement?
Quite frankly, and I know we're sitting here because of it, but this movie, Red Rocket, is absolutely the greatest thing in my work that I've ever been a part of. So this movie I'm so proud of, because I think I had imposter syndrome before this movie. People would ask me, what do you do? And I never felt comfortable saying I'm an actor, because I'm like, oh, I'm just bullshitting. I've just been pretty much been skating by in Hollywood and in New York and LA in entertainment for 25 years. Kind of just basically just doing silly comedy stuff, but not doing anything that really had some dramatic gravitas and some soul.
Yeah.
Because it comes so easy for me to just do the comedy shtick, that this movie required me to not only, it's a dark comedy, so there is comedy, but then there's a lot of really vulnerable, grounded moments that I had to bring the acting chops to. So until this movie, I think that I felt like a fraud. And so now finally, for the first time, I feel comfortable being like, yeah, I'm an actor and I can stand in front of it. So this movie is the most beautiful, artistic piece of work I've done. Incredible. For sure.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you feel it when you see the movie, and I'm really happy that you can own the fact that you're an actor.
Thank you.
You're an actor.
Yeah.
And I love it. And
it took a long time.
Well, you've earned it. You've
Thank
been
you.
there, you've earned it. And you feel that when you see the movie. What's the hardest thing you've ever had to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life would probably be, I feel like breakups are always really hard for me, all of them. It's almost easier to be the one that gets they get dumped, because there's something about letting somebody down that you're enmeshed with and that you're in a relationship with, to hurt somebody. I just like that. Even thinking about it, I get that feeling in my stomach of just hurting anybody else, especially somebody you care about. So I would say the fear of walking into that room when you know you have to break up with someone you care about, because you just know that it's not working out and someone has to do it. I would rather get dumped. And I just think back to that feeling. It's almost like you could throw up. So that's a tough one for me, is to let somebody else down, you know?
Yeah.
If I gotta be honest.
No, well, please be honest. That's what it's about. Yeah, I'm sure.
I thought this was Mr. Feelgood. I'm getting so dark.
No, it's not dark at all.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's human. What you're telling me is
human.
the truth, and it's what we all feel. So you're just part of the community
Okay.
of being honest and candid about something. I think I think I'd rather speak to you about that stuff than talk about bullshit.
No, it's okay.
Right?
It's
so
okay.
please, no. Don't.
It feels good to be honest.
Yeah.
So there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
So, who was your greatest mentor, and what did they teach you?
It's a good question. You know, I got a guy in my life. His name is Chris Ryan. He's an author. He has a PhD in psychology. He's the smartest guy I know. And he's sort of been a big brother to me. And I think in the last few years when I went through my sort of midlife existential crisis, when I hit about 40, is when I became friends with this guy. And he's been a mentor of mine not in work, but in life. He basically was the inspiration to me getting an RV and exploring, just going into nature more and getting out of the city. Not being caught in the hamster wheel of chasing money because that's a shallow pursuit and it doesn't make you happy. I just learned a lot from watching. He never preached it. I just watched how he was living. He did a podcast. I started doing a podcast. So he was somebody that I just was like, wow, he's figured out a good way of living life. He loves to travel, all these things. And then after getting the RV, I ended up getting my place in Joshua Tree, so everything just sort of went down that path as soon as I started exploring those things, and instead of just like staying in the city, worrying just about your career, you know, just doing other things that make you happy, and which I've learned is Mother Nature, is my church.
Yeah.
There's a famous, his name is Spinoza. He is a Jewish Portuguese, I guess he was a philosopher, I want to say, but his theory about religion, and he got banned from the synagogue for saying this, was that going into nature is your connection with God and with the church. This canyon we're in should be your church, not a man-made thing. And I really connected with that because I've always struggled with organized religion, and I didn't grow up having to do that. So that's been a big one for me, is like, you know, I just see a lot of these churches where it's like, you know, when you see the bookshop and put your money in the basket, I'm like, it's a business, it's a hustle. So I have a hard time with that. So nature is my church.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and how long have you known him?
I want to say 6 or 7 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he came into your life later on. So that's good. That's interesting. Who are your fictional and real life heroes? Fictional and real life heroes.
Let's see. Real life heroes. One thing I've learned, and I don't know if this will answer your question, but you don't want to meet your heroes because quite often you'll be let down. Sometimes it's better to just observe the tiger than to pet the tiger and maybe not get. So I've learned, if anything, I don't want to meet my heroes. I want to keep them this fantasy. Since I work in show business, it's not really like an actor is going to be a hero of mine, because now that I'm in entertainment for so long, I realize it's actually not as magical as it looks on the big screen. If you've ever come to a movie set or photo shoot or anything, it's not as glamorous as you think. It's actually a lot of sitting around all day and a lot of... So if anything, I think superheroes to me would be athletes, that because I can't even imagine, it's impossible for me to wrap my head around what Steph Curry does on the Golden State Warriors when he hits a three, or Joe Montana throwing the... It's almost like it's like a superhero to me. So I think the magic I feel when I watch my basketball team, the Golden State Warriors, win a championship, there's a magic that I feel when I see something like that happen, because I can't wrap my head around it. So real life, I would say certain athletes, Steph Curry, Joe Montana, Michael Jordan growing up, it was magic to me. It was truly magic. And what was the other part of the question?
Fictional. Anyone in
fictional.
books?
Those are the real ones. And I guess fictional, I don't read a lot of fiction. I love documentaries and biographies, and for some reason I should start reading more fiction. But I guess a good example would be, for a fictional hero, would be where's a fictional hero?
I mean, it could be, you know, someone. For me, it was Pip in Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, because it was this little guy who, against everything, he was the archetypal hero's journey. He went and became this, you know, person of society. That's for me. It could be anything. It could be Spider-Man. You know, it could be.
Which is all the hero's journey. All these movies, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So is there anyone, as you were a kid growing up, you saw on TV, or you got read, or...
Okay, I think Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Because it's the same story. Luke Skywalker, he goes out, he acquires the wisdom, and he brings it back, and that's the journey. So there's so many of that archetype that's pretty much the same thing, just in a different outfit.
Yeah.
So let's just say, so we could continue to feel good.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, as Indiana Jones.
Right on.
'Cause as a kid, that moved me. Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite? This is kind of this is sort of, this goes from having a deep conversation to something that's a little more superficial, but it's fine. What's your favorite item of clothing in your wardrobe?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have, I'm a jacket guy. Like once I get a good jacket, and as you know, living in California, everyone just thinks you need a jacket at night in LA, even all year long. It's not humid here. So I'm a real jacket guy, and I have a couple of jackets that just feel so comfortable and cozy. So I'm going to say a couple of my jackets that are sitting right now in Joshua Tree that are just sitting in my closet that it's almost like a blanket and you just feel so comfortable in it and it becomes a part of you, So my jackets, specifically a couple of them. One of them is like a corduroy with the fur lining. For whatever reason, it's like
comfort.
Fonzie. It's like Fonzie.
Okay.
I feel like Fonzarelli.
It's interesting you bring that up because and we'll cut a lot of this anyway, but I'm just going to tell you because we're talking. I lost my father when I was very young. I was 11 years old and he was 45 and he always had beautiful suits. And I remember my parents were divorced, but he was a great father and I'd go and see him every other weekend. And I remember looking at his suits in the wardrobe and he was always so elegant and he had a white tuxedo. And when he passed away, my mum gave all the suits away. Which, for one reason, she was in grief, she was in shock, and she did it. But as a kid growing up, all I wanted was a piece of his clothing. And subsequently, we have a daughter and 2 sons, and I've kept everything. I've kept my shoes, I've kept my jackets. I've got this, and to see your sons get to a certain age and put on your smart suit and go out, it's cool. And then I've got 2 motorcycle jackets, Belstaff jackets, and for you and your RV, I'm a motorcycle guy, and when I'm on my motorcycle, it's like meditation to me.
Yes.
And so these 2 leather jackets, once I'm gone, they'll know that they'll wear them. They'll have one each, and my daughter as well, and they'll know that they were wearing something that really the father had so much joy and pleasure and peace and during my lifetime.
And you broke it in because a leather jacket really becomes worn in, and there's a story to it. And I'm the opposite. I'm not a motorcycle guy, RV guy, but that's my version of you on a motorcycle. And a white suit gives me anxiety because I'm gonna spill something on it. Bravo to your dad for having a white tuxedo.
Well,
I guess he probably just wore it occasionally.
He did.
That's not something you wear all the time. Like white jeans. Who can wear white jeans?
No.
You're gonna sit down on a park bench with white jeans on? You gotta be a different type of person.
This will be interesting. What music did you love age 13, and do you still love it now?
Yeah, it's funny because I've been revisiting music from my childhood, and it's almost like, it's so nostalgic because it takes you back to that time. Like I've been listening to heavy metal again from my childhood. Metallica.
Wow.
Yeah, Black Sabbath.
Wow.
Motley Crue.
Wow.
Because it was so part of my formative years. And then even like rap music, like Too Short. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, so there was a lot of underground rap music and also mainstream music where I'm from. And I've been revisiting a lot of 90s rap and a lot of heavy metal, which to me were both pretty much the same thing. It was rebel music, it was anti-establishment. It was, my mom would say, turn that shit off, and it would make me want to turn it up more.
Did you ever listen to The Jam? The English group, The Jam?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
no,
don't think
so.
Okay. But so I've been revisiting those 2 genres, and it's like you get high off of it.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you really do. It's like you get the chills and you get choked and you'll start having these memories flood.
Yeah.
I actually just was in San Francisco recently, and I'm like, Mom, what was the apartment that we grew up in until I was 10 years old? I don't know where it is. She gave me the address. I drove by there and I looked at the house, the apartment, and all these, it was almost like I felt an out-of-body experience. And I was remembering sitting on the steps, like waiting for my mom to come home. I'm like, I haven't had these feelings in so long. Similar thing. It's a time machine. So it's magic.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What is the most inspiring book you've ever read?
Okay, so going back to what you were saying before, there is a fictional book it's actually loosely based on a real story. It's called Shantaram. Did you read this book? Okay, it's my favorite book. It's based in reality, but I think it's heightened for effect and exaggerated to make the story better.
Did it have an orange cover or not?
Yeah, I think it's like orange and black.
Okay.
Shantaram, and it's about an Australian guy who escapes prison and goes to India, to the slums of Mumbai, former Bombay, so at the time it was Bombay, and gets into a lot of trouble with some locals, and it's just incredible. So What was the question?
The question, most inspiring book you've ever
yeah,
read.
so that's my favorite book. I
Okay.
guess inspiring book. That's a good question too. I kind of went through my woo-woo moment where I read a lot of self-help books.
Yeah, we all do. Did. Did.
What's that?
I said we all did.
Yeah, and there's
Nothing wrong with that.
There's some truth to a lot of the cliche bumper stickers like be in the moment, everything's connected, all these things that I used to scoff at, and then you kind of realize, oh, I guess there's some universal truths to some of these things. So I think going through all those books, there was really one that helped because I have a neurotic brain called The Untethered Soul.
Oh,
which
love that.
great book.
So
that was one of the few books I could look back on and be like, okay, that's not bullshit, you know.
It's about surrendering, wasn't it? It's about surrender to everything.
Same author did the Surrender Experiment.
That's right. And so that makes sense with your whole going off without a destination.
So I think you
Beautiful,
can take,
yeah.
I think what I do is you take little things from books and movies and whatever, and because it doesn't have to all be true, but you can kind of, you know, take what you want from them.
Right.
You know, because I also think there's a lot of, the self-help industry is a little bit of a hustle too. So I'm on the fence about a lot of it, but there's some truth in there. You just got to find what works for you.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. This is good. What is a movie that left a lasting impression on you?
My favorite movie growing up was this called A Christmas Story. And it's on TNT every Christmas for 24 hours a day. It's so moving, and it's a Bob Clark movie who I ended up working with years later. He did like Porky's, and he did
amazing,
he did Christmas Story. Christmas Story, for whatever reason, is just that movie that's kind of like the music I was talking about, or Going to My Childhood Apartment, where there's something about that movie that makes me, it moves me, and it's so simple. It's about a little kid wanting a BB gun. The whole movie's about this kid who wants a fucking BB gun. I can swear.
Of course you can.
Okay, he wants a fucking BB gun.
Yeah.
And the whole movie, I know, spoiler alert, at the end he gets the BB gun and he shoots himself in the eye. And it's just so simple. And it was so well written.
Wow.
And it's actually a famous British actor, we'll look it up later, is the dad in it, amazing actor. And it's just,
What happens to him though? Is he?
Well, throughout the movie, they're like, you can't get a BB gun, you'll shoot your
You'll
eye
hurt
out,
yourself.
kid. It takes place
really?
in the 50s in the Midwest, so
Oh,
everything's kind of old school.
wow.
But it was shot in the 80s, I think. And the whole movie, it's such a simple want. Like every movie just has like, so what's your want? He just wants a BB gun. So in the end, he finally gets his BB gun and he shoots himself in the eye. And it's sort of just a simple, I don't know what the lesson is, but
that's interesting.
That's the movie that really kind of
resonated with you and stayed with you.
To this day, I'll still watch it and be moved.
I'm going to watch it. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
I'm
Christmas Story.
Okay.
You could watch it in the summer. You don't have to wait till Christmas.
Okay. Are you okay?
I'm great.
All right, man. It's lovely to have you.
I
here.
like talking.
It can be anything. What is your favorite word or saying? And it can be whatever you
I like the word regalia, and I use it incorrectly all the time, and it's an inside joke with my friends. We use it as a verb. We use it as, what it really means is like regal clothing, regalia. You know, jewelry could be regalia.
The Queen's regalia.
Yes,
the King's
absolutely.
Regalia.
It's a very British, you know. And me and my friends have abused that word for the last 15 years and made it our own word. And we even to this day will use it wrong, like, do you want to go? And we know it's like our inside joke. You know, I'll be like, you guys want to go to the regalia? And my friend will know by how I'm saying that. He means, oh, do you want to go eat food? So regalia is this inside joke. It's a real word, but used incorrectly with me and my friends. That's my favorite. Was it my favorite word? Was
your favorite word.
That's my favorite word.
Your favorite
regalia.
word or saying, you know.
Yeah, regalia.
Okay. Right. This is interesting. What do you want people? Yeah. What do you want people to say about your funeral?
That he put a smile on my face. That he never did anybody wrong and hurt anybody, and just that he was a good person. You know, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. You know. I think why I'm here is laughter is the best medicine. And I feel like I've been able to make a career out of getting people to chuckle, and that's just the best blessing ever. So if people could take that after I'm gone, and you know, that's what's so cool about my work is that someone could put on Red Rocket in 50 years and discover it.
I know,
or you know, Scary Movie 3, a comedy I've done, or whatever it is, and have a laugh way down the line. That's pretty special.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Okay, 5 quick fire questions.
Oh, okay.
Favorite car?
My favorite car is that I had was a 1968 Chevelle Malibu, or I would say 65 Buick Riviera, which I still haven't got yet. I had a 68 Riviera. I think that's the most beautiful American car ever made. Okay.
Sports team.
Sports team, San Francisco 49ers and or Golden State Warriors.
Meal.
Ooh, Korean barbecue.
Grooming product.
Ooh, I guess just a good face moisturizer. Kiehl's face moisturizer. Shout out to Kiehl's.
Clothing label.
You know, I'm not really a label whore, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I'd like me a good new pair of Nikes. So there you go.
Okay. Is there anything you've haven't been asked that you'd like to be asked? Is there any question that you'd like to... Is there anything, I mean, you've been on the circuit promoting your movie. You've been in Hollywood working, you know, and building a career, and, you know, you've kind of lived the dream, really. You've been working and grafting and trying and going through life and trying to get there. You've had this opportunity, which you've just shone in completely. It's like the movie for you. You were made to make. So you must have, you know, you've sat in the chair of many reporters. I'm not a reporter, but is there anything you'd like to talk about that you've, you know, a question you've never been asked that you'd like to address? And if it isn't, there isn't, that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is something that has been addressed, but I like when to talk about, like, well, what, you know, and I know it's a generic question, but it's like, what do you want to work, what do you see yourself doing next? Like, what kind of work? And I think what's so cool about Red Rocket is that it was like the ultimate audition, right? Like most people in this industry, I was sort of written off. I don't think that casting directors and other filmmakers and other actors really saw what this movie showed that I can do. So now that this is out, it's like the ultimate audition, and all the right people have been seeing this film, you know, in the Academy and all these places, that it's, I just want to work with cool, good people. Even something like this, like you guys are good people that let me in your home, and it's so nice and refreshing to work with good people. So all I want from this, I don't care about the fame and the money and whatever, that all comes regardless, but I just want to work with good people. I want to do good quality stuff. I want to go do an edgy indie movie like Red Rocket, and then I want to go do a silly comedy like Scary Movie. I want to do a TV show. I just want to do good work with good people that gets me excited to wake up in the morning, and then when it's done, I truly want to share it with people.
Right
I think Picasso said, "What's the meaning of life?" And I think the meaning of life is to create art, and the purpose is to share it with people, or the other way around. So
find what you love and share it with the world.
Okay,
I think
so
something like that, right?
You got it right.
I think so. Yeah.
Whatever it is that you do. But you know, I love when people truly, you know, are moved by something you do, whether it's laughing or this movie.
Yeah.
So I just want to continue to do that.
I think what's wonderful is you've shown the quality of what you can do, and that's just going to attract more quality to you.
I think so.
And for me, it's like filling the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, which is a poem from Kipling. And I think if you which I know is a bit bollocksy to bring that up, but I do find that that's a philosophy of life. As I get older, what I want to do is just make sure that the people I interact with, the work I do, is of the highest quality, and it's what I bring to it. It's what you bring to it, and I think you just get more of that, and you start pushing out all the other crap that was there, all the waste. It's just getting leaner. In your time and the quality you give yourself. I know you're going to Joshua Tree next week for 3 days. You've been on this malarkey for, you know, blessing malarkey for a long time. So for you to be able to go to that place where you've, you know, this sanctuary that you've created for yourself, and to just ground yourself and get back to nature, the stuff you love, and recharge for you, so then you're ready to go out in the world and fucking knock it dead.
That's exactly right. And to your point, also, as you get older, you realize time is your most valuable thing. It's not about it. Like, the time is so precious. And so I just want to, with my time, be around good people doing good stuff. So that's what I want out of this. So
well, look, honestly, from my heart, it's an absolute pleasure, genuine pleasure, to spend time with you, to watch you as an artist, to see you in the movie, and we're rooting for you to have everything that you want in life, because you deserve it. You've earned it.
I believe you.